Welcome to Riastrology. So today's episode is going to be about Venus in Scorpio in the birth chart. Now, currently Venus is in Scorpio, and it's always my favorite time of the year because I always just feel so powerful, so sensual, so sexually and creatively just empowered. And this energy, it's a powerhouse. It's a dominant energy. So seductive and sensual and pleasurable. I can just taste it. I can feel it, sense it. Love this energy. Now, remember, Venus in the birth chart is gonna take on its own flavor depending on the chart we're talking about. So it will manifest for you differently compared to anyone else because your Venus is going to be in its own house. It's going to be making its own aspect, so it's going to be different. And remember, this share is just a generalization of the energy. And if you want to take a more deeper look into your Venus, your birth chart, you can book a reading, riaquartz.com. Check out my website. You can reach out. And also, I offer goddess readings for divine feminines that want to unleash the goddess within them. Those readings are a little more intensive because we look at the asteroids. So if that's something you're interested in too, do go check out my website, riaquartz.com. Okay, so Venus in Scorpio. So what does Venus rule? Venus is the goddess of relationships, of love, of sensuality. It's a feminine energy in the chart. Now, when you look at the planets, there's not many feminine planets, feminine energies. There's the moon and then there's Venus, right? So it's a very important point in our chart. Because first of all, relationships, we can't exist without them. All we want to feel is connection and love, right? And pleasure. So Venus is so important. Relationships, it rules relationships and partnerships, love, romance, our love language, our relationship preference, how we experience pleasure, what we find pleasure in, how we like to indulge, our sensuality, our values, our self-worth, our creativity, finances too, but more so on how we like to spend, how we like to enjoy, leisure, pleasure. But remember, it has a feminine expression to it. So now, when you have Venus in Scorpio, what's that like? Scorpio is a fixed water sign. It's an all or nothing sign. It's a dominant powerhouse energy. Now, yes, in astrology, Venus in Scorpio is known to be in its detriment. And we'll talk about that later on in this episode. For this energy, it's in its own lane. So let's start off with relationships. A Venus in Scorpio is going to be in either a committed relationship or it's not going to be in a relationship at all or nothing, this or that. They are not going to waste their time. They want to experience magnetic, soulful bonds like twin flames. If there's no soul connection there, it's not going to work out. It's got to feel like meeting of the souls. Not only the person you're with has to pull on your heartstrings, but you have to they have to make love to your soul, you know? All or nothing. It's got to be a power couple. And you need somebody to be with you who is devoted, passionate about the relationship, all about it. Because if they're not all about it, they can get out. Because you're all about it. There's nothing that you wouldn't do for your relationships. There's nothing you wouldn't do for the people you love. And it has to also be reciprocated. Your partner has to be all about the relationship, be all about you, love you, like there's no tomorrow. It's got to be a passionate, intense relationship full of expansion and transformation. Otherwise, it's not going to fulfill the Venus in Scorpio. When the Venus in Scorpio person is not feeling fulfilled, that's when the shadows start to come up. And then the shadows are completely the opposite of what I'm explaining right now. And we can talk about them later on. That relationship has to give you meaning, purpose, passion. It has to ignite fire within you. I did a post on Instagram yesterday about Venus in Scorpio, and I wrote how Venus in Scorpio has this burning desire to feel intensity and in pleasure through relationships. It has to fulfill you. And Venus and Scorpio individuals are magnetic. They're magnetic, they're bewitching, they're hypnotizing. Just their energy has people under a spell. Like, people are gonna be afraid of you, but then also you're gonna be their wildest fantasy. And for you, it's like, you know who you are, but can the other person handle you, or will it suffocate them? Your just power suffocate them or overpower them, or will they start to flinch, get terrified? You need someone that can hold space for your Venus in Scorpio. Now, when it comes to values, commitment, loyalty is so important. Without those two qualities, what is a relationship? And often Venus in Scorpio, they can be distrustful in relationships. That can be a shadow aspect. You need someone to be all about you, all about the relationship, committed. Like, you have my back, behind my back. When you say you love me, you mean it. You're not just saying it, you mean it. You are loyal to the core. Because once that trust is broken, that's a tough one. That is a tough one. You value those that are honest and loyal and committed, powerful, attracted to powerful individuals. And when it comes to pleasure, pain is pleasure. Pleasure is pain. Again, when someone's with you in a relationship, in an intimate relationship, they gotta have a back made of steel, because you're not afraid to go to the edge. Of life. You seek the thrill. What frightens people, Venus in Scorpio finds pleasure in at times. And when you're connecting with someone, like in a relationship, it's almost like bondage, and BDSM is like a trust building exercise for you. It's like a relationship building exercise for you. Yes, it's pleasure for you, but also it's like you're putting the person to work, and it's an exam. Like, I need to see if this person can pass this exam, or are they gonna fail? Because if they fail, they gotta get out, because they're not about that life. You can go to the extremes to feel pleasure. You need this rush of energy that ignites that fire within you, that excites you, that is full of passion. The person you're with has to be passionate about you because you're passionate about yourself. You are passionate about yourself. Now, the aesthetics, creativity. I'm a visual person, so especially when I'm speaking about more of the artistic, creative visual planets like Venus, Neptune, the moon, I always just see a bunch of visions and colors coming through. And of course, Venus and Scorpio individuals, they like to dress in the darker colors, the burgundies, the deep reds. It's the sensual, sexual energy, also the depth. Also, their eyes are also piercing. They have that Scorpio gaze too. Piercing. To others sometimes, especially if it's a woman, because she's so in tune with her feminine energy and celebrates her sensuality and sexuality, therefore other people can be very judgmental. Other people can feel very insecure. You can come across as provocative, but I say liberated. And for a man, he has to be able to handle that, if that's your preference. Some people, they see you and they like what they see, but then the moment you start a date, then they got a problem with it. And that ain't gonna work for you. You have to be a Scorpio, a Venus and Scorpio female. You have to be with someone who celebrates how liberated you are, how empowered you are. And if you are a man with Venus and Scorpio, a woman can't be terrified of what you seek and find pleasure in either. How you feel about sexuality and sensuality either. She gotta be up for it. Otherwise, it ain't gonna work. There's no being shy here. And speaking about there's no being shy here, Venus and Scorpio is more of a passive energy, but not when it's in Venus and Scorpio, of course, because Scorpio is a powerhouse dominant energy, but it's more of a receiving energy. It wants to receive. It wants to find pleasure, feel pleasure, sense pleasure. Whereas, let's say Mars and Scorpio, it's more a giver energy because it's a masculine energy. But with Venus and Scorpio, it's seeking pleasure, receiving pleasure. And the creativity here, off the wall. Venus is a creative planet. And when it's in Scorpio, a fixed water sign, pair them together, you can just create masterpieces of art. And with art, there's no limits, there's no boundaries. There's just, you're free to just express yourself. So now let's move on to the shadow aspects. So Venus is known to be in detriment in the sign Scorpio. And this can be because there's no limits when it comes to seeking pleasure. Venus and Scorpio can often go seek pleasure through people and things that are not the most healthiest. So that's something to watch out for. Also, yes, Venus and Scorpio in its higher octave, committed, loyal, devoted. Nothing that they wouldn't do for you. But when you have a Venus and Scorpio individual that is hurt, in pain, has had their trust broken, has been betrayed in the past, that can affect how they view everyone else, how they view relationships, how they go about relationships. They can be a possibility of being pessimistic of others, of relationships, commitment. And you can be playing out your wounds by not being committed, Now, that is for those that are playing their shadows, their wounds. So that's something to watch out for, but it always depends on the individual. Remember, if you're an individual that has done your shadow work, you are going to be operating from your higher octave, your highest expression, right? But for those that still have healing to do and shadow work, those are some things that you need to watch out for so that you don't self-sabotage. Whenever you get your trust broken or you're hurt and you're in pain, I know it's like, for Venus and Scorpio person, it's like a dagger jagged right in the heart, front and the back. I get it. But focus on the self-healing process, because when we don't focus on the self-healing process and we're hurt and we're in pain, we can often self-sabotage because of being in that darkness. So just bear that in mind. So there it is, Venus in Scorpio. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Actually, one last thing I want to say is people with this energy also can be the most amazing relationship coaches, therapists, and counselors. Those that are operating from their highest octave, their highest expression, they could be great at this because of that energy that comes with having Venus in Scorpio. You can go into the darkness, you can go into the depths. So that could be a great possibility too with this energy. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, comment, share, and subscribe if you're new here. Also for readings, and especially my goddess readings, do go check out my website, riaquotes.com, and you can also connect with me on Instagram @riaquotes, and I'll see you soon. Lots of love.